Welcome back to Humans in 5.
We're fast approaching graduation season here in the Northern Hemisphere. Students are wrapping up their courses and exams, with many looking forward to celebrating their achievements as they receive their degrees and certificates, recognizing their hard work.
There's often a lot of concern and shade in the news about how kids these days just don't know the same type of information as their parents. We've all heard people complain about how young people are getting away with murder in their coursework and that exams just aren't as hard as they used to be.
The real question is whether or not there's any truth to the idea that young people just aren't as adept or smart as their parents. Of course, we're not the first to wonder about this, and some interesting research across the 20th century provides some answers to this question.
The most famous research in this topic has been done by James Flynn from the University of Otago in New Zealand. Flynn and other researchers have found that year on year, from about 1930 and onwards, people have performed better and better on standardized tests.
And it's not just tests like IQ tests, but problem-solving skills have been found to improve as time goes by. This has been found in a couple of different countries, including the US and the UK. The rate at which test scores increase isn't necessarily the same in all places, but the increases are there nonetheless.
Indeed, with some tests and measures of brain power, the scores have gotten so high over time that the tests are no longer considered a useful way to assess our brains. While there was some variation in test marks in the past, everyone is nailing them in our modern day and age.
So it seems that with each generation and over time, we seem to be getting smarter and smarter as a society. There's something about modern life that allows students to achieve higher and higher grades relative to their parents. How does this happen?
As educators, we're excited to hear that people are getting smarter and smarter over time, but we'd also like to point out some flaws in this line of thinking. Fundamentally, this type of recurring exam is only really testing one kind of smarts. Not everyone tests well, and it may be that we're better at taking tests rather than getting smarter over the years.
Also, different people have different test-taking strengths and weaknesses. There may have been some intellectual powerhouses writing the test poorly due to things like test anxiety affecting their marks.
It's also worth noting that today's generation have in many ways come to expect the content of a standardized test. Younger generations may be performing better because constant testing has become a more regular part of life now than in prior decades.
We also live in a very information-dense time period. There's a greater range of stimuli, including the internet, now readily available at our fingertips at all times of the day. We may perform better because we spend a lot of time consuming information, and some of it may be sticking.
Ultimately, it's worth remembering that smarts come in all forms. From a generational standpoint, there are skills our parents and grandparents had, like bleeding a radiator, that are almost lost to our generation. On the flip side, the kids coming through school now will likely have a way stronger computer literacy than we can even dream of.
Overall, the Flynn effect reminds us that despite the judgment they may receive in the press, the kids are going to be all right.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Humans in 5.
And don't forget to subscribe!